let's talk Homestead. Homestead is a movie that I just watched. I had the privilege of watching it because it was covered by something called a sponsored screening. So whoever covered my ticket, thank you. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll cover a future ticket. I don't know. Maybe I won't. Everyone says they like to do it. I don't know if I actually will. I probably will. Now that I say it, I probably will pay it forward. Okay. But anyway, I got a quote-unquote free ticket to see this. Watched the movie. I went in mostly blind. So apparently it's based off of a book series, Black Autumn, is it? And I had a basic understanding of the premise of something post-apocalyptic. They're on a homestead, and there's something with guns. That's all I knew going in. I don't like to be, for the most part, I don't like to do a ton of research going into a movie. I like to sometimes be surprised. I think that makes it more fun. But sometimes it also makes you wonder, what am I watching? So I want to get into what this movie is and why actually some of my criticisms are not a bad thing considering it's meant to be a series. So let's start with the fact that I think this premise is amazing. This premise was pretty much written with the Turtles in mind. So whoever is the Angel Studio writers, thank you for writing this movie. I can't think of a better way to hook me than and then again, minor spoilers. I'll tell you when I'm going to get into bigger spoilers. But essentially, the movie opens with again, don't want to hear this? Pause it now. Of a nuclear blast. And it gets in to the characters setting up essentially a more or less a homestead, a fortified ranch in the Colorado mountains. So I love end of the world disaster type stuff. I even liked, what was that movie, Greenland? I even like Greenland. I don't even remember what the movie was about, but I think they were trying to get to Greenland. I even like that. And I like 2012. 2012 was unironically, one of my favorite movies. So this movie Homestead, which in my opinion has a much better cast and much better writing. I'm just keeping it real. It's kind of a low bar to clear for me to not. It's a low bar to clear for me to say I enjoy a post-apocalyptic movie about a group of people that have to come together to survive and rebuild society. That is my jam. There's so many other ones, literally any of the number of shows. There's so many that I just love that do that premise. But that's what makes it fun. So if you like that premise, they did it really well. I felt terrified at times with some of the ways that they covered kind of what it would be like post-nuclear detonation. I don't think that they were outside the realms of possibility for how society can break down. But even more terrifying, it's you have the terrifying parts of the radioactive toxic stuff that will give you cancer, right, if you're exposed to it. But also the societal breakdown where people are looting their neighbors and also trying to figure out, is this the government? Is this the National Guard? Is this really FEMA? Is this a gang that's just wearing police uniforms? All of these are questions that, people like to make fun of preppers. But guys, look at the world right now. You might want to be friends with some preppers. And you might want to be friends with someone that is a rich prepper like Ian Ross. Who's Ian Ross? Ian Ross has played, what is his name? It is Neal McDonough, or however you pronounce it. I probably butchered the last name, but Neal McDonough, he did a great job in that. He plays Ian Ross, who is essentially a billionaire ranch homestead owner of this multi-home ranch thing in the mountains. And it's a little bit unclear to me how he knows his military friends, but he contracts with this guy he knows from the military in the event that shit hits the fan, where he'll bring in his military buddies to go up to this Colorado enclave of sorts and defend it. So all of this premise sets up something where I felt like Acts 2 and 3 were going to take a different direction, because I thought that would be more okay, you're going to have something where it's going to be either an Ian Ross versus, let me just make sure I get the characters right, because I literally just watched it. So Jeff Eriksson and Ian Ross. Yeah, so Jeff is more or less in charge of kind of the security, and his family is there. I thought it was going to be either something of him versus Ian, or it was going to be something where he would be essentially overthrown by his men in a little mini coup, and he would team up with Ian to face them down. Or, I don't know, some sort of invasion by a rival, I don't know, camp or homestead. It just didn't really get there. And this is where I'm going to get into a few spoilers, but I want to just, before I get into a few spoilers on the plot to kind of go into that more, I want to give some more positive things for this movie, because it was really, really fun. This was a fun, terrifying, post-apocalyptic movie. You can have fun and you can have terror at the same time. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. And the shows and movies that manage to do that well are the ones that really stick with you. So, for example, I can tell you some Walking Dead episodes where they were fun and they stuck with me, or the Walking Dead games, moments where it stuck with me. And then there's other things where, it's just completely just goes over your head. This was fun in the ways where it reminded you, this is a societal breakdown. There was one moment where it was like, the dude said he went to Vegas or something. I don't want to add more, but I don't know, it's not a big spoiler, but even that, it was a moment of absurd comic relief, I thought, but then they tied it back in a little bit later. I'm like, oh my God, that is a genius way to kind of approach something like mental health. I actually thought it was really clever. So that was one moment, and then, so there's these moments, these mini moments is how I'll call them in Acts 2 and 3. So there's also a moment, and this has to get into the plot recap more. Is there anything else I want to give on the... all right, one more point on the pros before I get into the cons, because I really have to mention the recap, the plot a lot more to really do that effectively. So, production value. This was so good. I don't know how much they spent on this movie, but you are in for 2 hours of essentially beautifully shot mountains, farmland. Even the nuke in the breakdown society, the opening 30 minutes, even before you get into the beautiful stuff, I thought the production value on this was very, very good. Now, get into the stuff I didn't like as much. And I'm caveating this because I loved this movie, actually. And I think I'm actually saved for the TV show. But that's the thing. There's a TV show. And I only found it out after I finished the movie. So first off, apparently I can start watching it. I'm not sure. I haven't found a way to actually use the code yet to watch the episodes that are streaming. But apparently there's going to be 2 episodes that are streaming later in December for this show that follow right after the ending of this movie. So as soon as the movie ended, I'm like, wait, what the hell is going on? Because they didn't resolve a lot of stuff. Because literally, and this has to get into the plot, but the way they ended it, I'm like, they did not explain what that little girl was up to at all. And now they're throwing all this stuff excuse me. Throwing all this stuff against the wall right at the end. And then I realized, oh, it's setting up essentially the TV show. So, some things that I didn't like as much with the plot was that I felt there was pacing issues for the movie, for it being a movie. And I talked about this when I did the Moana 2 review, but it wasn't as bad for Homestead. I don't think the pacing was horrible because, again, I love the premise of this so much. I had a lot harder time with Moana 2 as an adult, where I felt disappointed, than with Homestead at times when it felt so slow. And don't get me wrong, this movie felt slow at times. There were a few moments where I went, okay, is this really where you want to be investing 5 to 10 minutes for this? Like for example, there's this whole romance thing where it's Jeff's boy and Ian's girl, and it's a fine romance to set up. And in the context of a TV series, I think they set up in the movie quite well. I'm actually, I think most romances and stuff are stupid in TV shows and whatnot. But in terms of setting that up and the family dynamics, they did that fine. So this is episodes, I guess, 1 and 2 of the TV series. Well, I guess the TV series says they're episodes 1 and 2, but let's say the movie is episode 0, okay? So if this is episode 0 of the TV series, essentially, the movie's episode 0, then I think it sets it up rather well. But if you're watching the movie, you're seeing a lot of things like that, where it's like set-up type stuff, and you're like, you look at your watch, and you know the movie's about 2 hours, and you're like, I feel like this is dragging on. Not badly, not poorly, not like I'm bored, but you feel like it's dragging on, and you're looking at your watch, and you're like, how are they going to wrap this all up? And now I have a better idea of where they're going to go, and I don't think they necessarily are doing anything that... I don't think they didn't go with the whole thing of, let's make a movie, and then we won't answer anything, and then we'll figure out as we go along. No. Homestead is based off a book series, it seems like. And also, there's clear things that are wrapped up a major point is wrapped up that sets up what the TV series would be. So they did clear one hurdle, but I felt like that lack of external threats for the most part did make the movie struggle at times. So for example, the big kind of closing thing at the end with this guy that's essentially what, like a tax, he's like a tax assessor essentially. I don't know what his government role is, but he's a bureaucrat, and he rolls up with a SWAT team, and the setup for this made it seem like it was going to be a lot bigger fight, and then it ended up getting into something where like Ian gets, and again, there's spoilers, guys, you get to this part, I assume you're okay with me talking spoilers. You know, like Ian gets shot, and it's like, you know, like, in a TV series, I think that they have cliffhangers and natural breakpoints. And I felt like with this, they had like a few breakpoints in Act 3 where it felt like they were setting up for, like, it was a penultimate episode setting up for the final episode, but then set up what the final episode was going to be by only giving us the first 30 minutes and then now saying that you have to watch the first 2 episodes of a TV show to learn more. And it's like, you know, I think you can understand a few things more about like how I was struggling with pacing if you understand that context. But if you go in with the mindset that this is going to be a movie that sets up with a TV show, then it's not bad. And also, these are not like the worst things in the world. It's like watching The Walking Dead. I don't expect a 2-hour run of The Walking Dead, for example, you know, to be like a perfectly contained movie plot, right? But I do think if you put something in movie theaters, it should have at least elements of a contained story that make you feel like you left the movie theater having, I like to say, an experience. And I felt like I had that. And I think Angel Studios delivered for the most part. And you know, want to know why I would say that? Because I have been doing these reviews. I've done Gladiator 2, I've done Wicked, I've done all of them. I see a variety of movies. And whenever I do these reviews, usually the longer ones equal, it's either really bad or really good. And for the most part, I felt like this was really fun. And it's approaching 12 minutes, so I'm going to end it now. Go check out Homestead. It's in theaters December 20th of this year. And I'm going to go ahead and check out the first 2 episodes streaming. If I can watch them now, that's great. If I have to wait a couple weeks, I will. But I am interested in the TV show because I watched the movie. And if that does not give you enough incentive or interest to check it out yourself, maybe you'll be able to pick up a free ticket as well. Check out your AMC. Apparently some of them are like giving out free tickets, so that's how I saw mine. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna end it here. Later, y'all.